Welcome to Kurre and Klapow show. Too flippin' nice to be inside today, my friend.
That is true.
Cheers.
How are you?
Good, man. Too nice. It's supposed to start getting hot again. It's going to be like 100 degrees in Memphis later this week. I'm going to get out and enjoy this beautiful weather.
Smart.
Rain our dogs out here, so I thought maybe you and I would come out here. And I know sometimes, like, two things really make me creative. The bathroom. And
Creative?
Creative.
Okay.
My creative juices work best when I'm outside and when I'm on the toilet. Why is that? Dr. Josh Klapow, UAB clinical psychologist and all-around great life coach.
Well, it's for two different reasons.
Yeah.
One, outside, you're out in nature,
Yes.
right? So you have not the same normal cues that make you stressed out. You got beautiful trees and weather, but and then I really do think that on the toilet,
Yeah.
it's like in a small place. It's almost meditative.
Yeah, where you kind of concentrate.
Yeah. Whereas like here, it's not really concentrating. It's like you can be free.
Yeah.
Whereas depending on what's going on in the bathroom, it's like a place of meditation, right?
Well,
You're looking at the floor or the
Well,
ceiling.
I know you have quite the refuge at the Kurre or the Klapow compound where you have like eagles. I mean, you could do a
It's the
national.
same woods as you got.
Well, no, but you got feed and things. And I saw you feeding a deer the other day. Did it eat out of your hand?
No, it will not. And I'm not.
It will.
It's real interesting. There is a very survival, like it gets to right where, and then it smells my fingers or my hands, and it's gone. But I've recognized she's got a stripe on her nose. There's babies.
Oh, nice.
Bambi babies. And the
Bambi babies.
I don't know. I mean, I understand we got friends who are hunters, and it's fine. I understand that, but like, I can't do it. And you know my philosophy,
Yeah.
and why I love fishing.
Yeah.
Because with fishing, the fish have a chance.
True. Well, and it's a God thing.
Well, but in fishing,
You know what
they
God
don't
will-
have to take. They don't have to take the bait.
Yeah.
In deer hunting, you're shooting them.
Yeah.
You see, there's a difference. You see what difference?
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, in my
Now, what about bow fishing? You ever bow fished?
I have
You're
not.
actually
I
shooting.
kind of wanted to.
See, bow fishing is super cool.
That's like hunting, though.
And then it is.
Which is just. I mean, that's okay.
But
And fish are-
in biblical terms, we know that when you feed a man a fish, he eats for a day. When you teach a man to fish, he fishes.
That's
the rest.
fine.
And
That's fine.
Fishes are cool.
But I have told you the deer.
Although
now-
if Jesus fed all those disciples like deer meat, it'd probably be different.
Sure.
If all of a sudden he turned like one doe into like 25 does as opposed to the.
But then we'd have overcrowding, and we'd have to call the herd.
We probably would. We got a lot to get into today. Also want to welcome Blue Water Marine and Carts.
Nice.
They're not on the air with us yet, but I'm calling them out because we're fixing to do something special with them. And also Nexa Mortgage, which is a mortgage company I spoke with yesterday. They want to do some business with us. And, of course, Coosa Valley Auto Sale, one of our new sponsors. They are on the air with us, but we'll be talking to some people this morning here. Two interesting things I want to get into.
Okay.
Obviously, everyone's still talking about the Queen. We're now at a point where she's been dead long enough, the body's cold, we can start taking some angles on it.
Yeah, I mean, they were taking angles.
Well, yeah,
The angle started before she was in the
We
coffin.
don't wait anymore. I mean, we used to give it 3 or 4 days, and then we could joke about it.
Well,
or whatever,
yeah.
And now comedians just go. And so we're going to be on Fox 6 at 9:35 this morning, talking about the Queen. And the first thing I thought of is because everything I'm seeing, and I go to the New York Post only because they're all encompassing. They do international, national, and Birmingham news, and everything in there is about Meghan, and is she responsible for this, and why is she handshaking here, and are the two boys going to be walking with their dad behind the coffin like they did for their mother, and why they don't get along, and it's blah, 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 and all I could think about was this sounds like Christmas dinner.
Well, or it sounds like a funeral that's on steroids. I mean, this happens in families
Isn't
all
every,
the
but
time.
every funeral's on steroids.
No. What I'm saying, all I'm saying is, this is the same. This is family dynamics. It's just that family is larger and televised.
Yeah.
And has I don't know what you want to call it. It's not political. It's got historical relevance.
Yeah.
In our families, if God forbid someone passed away, there's not really historical relevance to the world.
Yeah.
It's just us.
The difference is is when you have an event where it's a melting pot of all family dynamics that must come together because Uncle Harry died.
That's exactly.
Or your dad died.
So
and
right
all of a
on.
sudden,
Yes.
you got family members all over the United States or all over
Yes,
the
they're
world.
flying
Maybe you don't
in.
keep in touch. Maybe you do. Maybe you have a great family dynamic and you love to get together every year for Christmas or for family. Maybe, you know, my dad used to have parties on his back deck every year for everyone in the family. It was great. But we had some rubs, and for the most part, we got along pretty well. But most families aren't like that. And so all of a sudden, you know, at a Christmas party, you always talk about the two words exit strategy.
Yes.
You may have an alcoholic in the family.
Right.
You may have someone who's got in trouble with the law. You may have a breakup. You may have an imminent divorce. You may have kids that are having issues. You got Greg. You got all these things, and you're trying to stuff them into this little house for about 4 or 5 hours.
It's so wrong.
You just want to eat dinner and get the hell
so
out.
bad.
Yeah, I got to work tonight. It's Christmas night. I got to take this phone call. You're walking out in the yard while you're just trying to get away from your mother-in-law. Whatever it is. But a divorce. I almost said divorce because
There's a little slip.
Because it is a funeral.
It is. No, it is. It
really
is.
It's the death of something.
It is.
At a funeral, nice catch there.
No, I am a psychologist.
At a funeral, you have to go.
Well, yeah,
And so you're forced into this situation. Now, the only difference is normally at Christmas parties, everyone's kind of in the same place. At a funeral, you've got the visitation. You've got to separate yourselves a little bit. You can sit in the back of the church. You can sit in the front of the church. You can actually, hey, get out. Yeah, and so we're starting to see this with the royal family, and everyone's like, oh, man, this royal family's really effed up, and they got major issues. No, they don't. This is a royal family. It's a regular family. It's just royal. It's no different.
Yep.
He dates somebody that
there you
takes
go.
him to floozy.
Yes.
He dates somebody
That's
or marries
exactly.
somebody that is really prim and proper, and everyone loves her, and everyone else thinks she's crazy. And then you got the kid who's making looks at the camera, this, that, and the other.
No different.
You got Prince Charles, who obviously divorced one of the most liked individuals on the face of the earth, and Lady Di, to settle down with this curmudgeon-looking, resting bitch face-looking woman named Camille, who I'm sure is a really nice gal.
She's a queen. now.
She is a queen. She'll be taking over once Prince kicks the bucket and he's at
See,
73.
Megan didn't get to go in the same car as everybody.
I don't know, but at the minute the two boys are walking side by side, it was like,
That-
oh, they're finally getting along again. Well, these guys were brothers, for God's sake.
Did
But
you-
they moved on with their lives.
Did you, can I just be, I know this is going to date us, but when you saw them, did you get a flashback to when they were following the casket of their mother?
Sure, it did.
Yeah, and did you also, we're both a little young, we're too young to remember this, but we've seen the video of John, oh my God, John Kennedy's son, when he's waving.
Oh, gosh,
yeah.
yeah.
But this is, and I do think, on that level, it is, when you have humans going through death, there are humans going through death. You can talk about all the enormity of the royal family. But even as you said, this is why we like reality television shows, Housewives of, right? Because there's divorce, there's scandal, there's friction between, there is aging and illness and extended families, and how are people going to come together? And even you can even drill it down and say for the ceremony itself, who's going to sit where, how we're going to do it. Now again, the difference with the royal family is it's just a gazillion times larger.
Yep.
There's more of it. There's just more of it. But again, if you circle it down to the people, it is the same. It is a question. Will the brothers come together?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the
wives
father?
come together?
Will the wives come together? And I think, the royal family, we talked about this before we started talking about Fox. On the one hand, you can talk about the royal family, we're enamored with them, it's this whole thing. Look, the royal family and the royal family historically has done some really bad things.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about scandals and divorce and racism, I'm talking, colonialism, etc. But when grandma dies, I don't know how to think about it. Grandma dies, God love her, she's 96 years old, right? And on the surface, we're like, and particularly if you think about it, everybody on the outside who's not in the internal family.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry, she's died, people cry. Then you start drilling into the inside.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes from, grandma died or mom died to, God, she was always mean to me. And that's where, there was a comment last night I thought was really interesting, because everybody's so fascinated about what happens. The London Bridge is the plan for the Queen to die, and then London Bridge is down is when she dies, and so people are asking, well, what happens now? She's been brought to the parade, she's lying in state, and one of the questions I was on was, okay, like at what point is it over?
Yeah.
And they were saying, look, at the royal family at some point just kind of wants to grieve without shaking hands, etc. And so at some point, pretty soon, I know it will be done.
But doesn't that get you always interesting when you're going through the funeral procession or the funeral line, and you'll notice the widow is not crying because they've got a job to do. They've got to shake hands. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here.
Yes, you saw that with both boys. Yes.
Is that therapeutic? Is that there? I mean, for a short, because a lot happens right after someone.
Oh, I see.
Dies.
Yeah.
For a 7 to 10 day period, you're busy. You're planning the funeral. You really don't have time to grieve.
No, and in fact, you're right. It's conveniently psychologically helpful, right? Because I wanted to say it's a defense mechanism. It's really not. It's something that's put in place that keeps a little bit of it out, or at least keeps it from all coming in. And this is why people they hit the wall afterwards. And it's also why in the grieving process, they talk about the stages of grief and all that kind of stuff. But the grieving process can happen for years and years and years and years and years, intermittently.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay, everything's great, and then, I don't know, we get out here, and this reminds me of when I spent time with my wife, or mom, and then we start crying. And then we're okay again. It's exactly the same for the royal family. I mean, humans are humans.
Yeah.
And so, the difference is her death represents all kinds of larger issues. Yeah. But again, she's a 96-year-old woman. She died.
Yeah.
Grandma died.
We're going to talk about topless women at college football games.
There you go. It's just the same. That was a pivot. That's good. Topless women, are they 96?
No. They're in trouble. Be. And it's the football game they were at where they're really catching. They got into a football game topless. We'll talk about that in just a second because I want to get back to one of your cultural norm psychology.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that because Free the Nipples really getting after this, and I'm like, are we really going to go down this road again? I know you had an interesting
conversation with my wife.
With your wife the other day. So I do want to ask you, and we'll be on Fox 6 at 9:35 this morning. I hope you're enjoying our outdoor edition here. We're outside the cage here at Kurre and Klapow. You can also check us out on Kurre and Klapow podcast, Tony Kurre Radio podcast, Tony Kurre Radio podcast for TKR, Kurre with a K. Pull up Tony Kurre Radio podcast. We're on every major indice, and you can check out the Kurre and Klapow show. We've got a million shows about just about everything.
Can I just tell you, it's not dandruff.
I know, right? Is there? I watched some Dateline. We're kind of at a Dateline binge thing right now. I never watched Dateline until like 3 months ago, and now I'm like,
are you sitting on your lounger chair?
Oh God! Well, I got off the Weather Channel, so I guess that's a good thing. So now I'm watching Dateline. It's a good show.
You're coming back around. You got your hair cut. I'm glad. That's good. That's a good sign.
It's a good show. So, in many cases, horribly and unfortunately, there are children involved.
Yeah.
And I always find it really strange. You're mentioning the boys walking behind their mother's coffin.
That was like
children are resilient.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons children are resilient, why a kid can fall down a flight of stairs and live, and a man falls down a flight of stairs, it's certain to kill him. They are more flexible in everything. Physically, but mentally speaking.
That's good.
And I always think it's really interesting when I see a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old who's just lost a parent, and they're being interviewed, and they're emotionless.
Yeah.
They're not crying because they're not emotionally developed yet to accept this type of devastation in their life. Is there a better time to lose a parent in a child's life? Because certainly at the age of 13, 14, 15, I would think would be incredibly traumatic. When you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, you've kind of learned about life, and while you still may just be absolutely traumatized, you may need therapy. You're a little bit more accepting, but at that young age, and maybe I'll even go back to 3, 4, 5.
Well, there's where you're going. So, this is
what did you hear when your daddy picked up the knife? And the 4-year-old's like, I don't know, he was screaming, they were laughing, and he's sitting there playing with a Lego while he's doing it. And I'm going, oh my gosh, dude, you don't really.
Right. And listen, this is going to sound heartless, but if you're going to lose a parent, or something horrific's going to happen, not physical abuse to the child, and the reason I'm saying that is, age 2, 3, if there is physical sexual abuse to the child, that is something that very often is an implanted memory.
Okay.
So I'm going to put that on I'm going to table that one. But I will tell you, if you're going to lose a parent, anything under age 4, I mean, it's horrible, but I'm going to say this is the best time. Because you probably won't remember.
Yeah.
You might, a little bit. Again, you get, I mean, obviously if you get
You
one,
accept
2.
this as your new reality that they're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's an adjustment, but over time, particularly ages 1, 2, and 3, they're toddlers.
Yeah.
They will not remember, and they can be reminded with pictures or whatever. The memories just don't solidify, and the older you get, the more they solidify. So there's 2 things that are happening. The older you get, the more experience you have with that person, my dad, my mom, and so there's more things to be stuck with. 3, you only have so much. But the other part is your brain's developing the ability to take emotions that you experience, dad giving you a hug or whatever, and crystallize those into a memory.
Yeah.
But the younger you are, your brain hasn't developed as much enough to do that.
Okay.
So I say it all the time. I mean, look, if a parent's going to go or something horrible is going to happen, God hope that child's super young, not because their life may be incredibly difficult, but they may not remember and they may not know any other life.
So typically, at what age? Typically,
Yeah.
Because we're all at different mature levels. What's the worst time to lose a parent? 9, 10, 11?
I don't. There's not. I mean, I think it depends. No, it's not. I mean, anything over 4 is really bad.
Yeah.
And I think a lot depends on what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on the maturity. But anything under about 4, if you're going to lose a parent, that's the way to go.
Today is National Felt Hat Day. Congratulations, Dr. Josh Cleveland.
I've tried a couple, and I have a problem besides baldness. You know my whole issue about small heads?
Yeah.
Small head?
Yeah.
I have to wear a child's hat. Or a woman's. No, I'm not. I should have brought. No. Seriously, and same with sunglasses. My head is so small that if I get a man's small cap,
Yeah. You could wear a felt hat. You could pull it off.
But
Not a lot of guys could pull off a felt. We'd all look like pimps. But you could pull off a felt hat
It
if
would
you were
have
in
to-
the right situation.
yes, I would, but it'd have to be a child's.
Today is also Greenpeace Day.
Yes, okay.
Today is Google.com Day. It's the day we're supposed to celebrate. I mean, you cannot go through life without
Isn't that
hitting
crazy?
Google.com. It really is. Today is an International Day of Listening.
These are all
I
good.
hope you're listening to. Oh, you
Listen.
like these today, huh?
No, I know. Give me a crappy one.
Today
It's
is
not good.
International Day of Democracy.
Okay.
Today is National 8-Track Tape Day.
Oh, maybe we're gonna go with that.
You like that?
Yeah, I'm.
I don't own one actually, and I've wanted to have one just because.
Are they coming back?
That's the one thing, vinyl's coming back, but 8-tracks ain't coming back.
No.
They're too much of a pain in the ass. And when you're listening to your favorite song and it stops in the middle of it to go to track 3, there's something wrong with it. Today is also World Lymphoma Awareness Day.
These are all good.
Dan Marino has a birthday today. You want to take a stab at how old Dan is? That looks good.
64.
61. Prince Harry has a birthday today. So in the middle of all this crap going on with his grandma. I know, right?
Well, here, listen. We've talked. You talk about. I'll just quickly bring this circle around. That's a horrible thing when your birthday falls like right around a tragedy.
Yeah, what do you do?
Well, nothing. It's just you're stuck with it.
And if Megan shows up with a birthday cake today.
No, she's not going to.
Oh, well.
Well, maybe to cheer him up.
Someone will find out. She'll give him a gift or something.
So, man, oh God, I could get so deep with this stuff. I mean, she's 96 years old again, but if you think about Harry and William and what they've gone through, I am sure this is triggering all kinds of memories of the loss of their mom.
Yeah.
And it's his flipping birthday. That sucks.
He's 38 today.
But you know what? I wonder if he's wondering, like, thank God I got out. I was watching during the funeral. I was just kind of watching.
Do you think they're thinking, thank God I got out, or I missed this?
I don't know. I don't know. I think little bit of FOMO, just a little bit of fear of missing out. Just a little bit of, oh, we didn't get to ride in a nice car, or But I also think that it's like quitting a job.
Yeah.
You quit. It's time to go. It's time to go, and then you kind of hear from people that you worked with. Oh, we're going to the company party.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you knew you had to get out of that. It was horrible. It's like, but you hear they go to the company party, and then you're like, oh.
But even though they're out, they're always going to be in.
Well, they are. They are. They have
do
loyalty.
that going in.
That's
I mean,
right.
They'll always be accepted. If they want to get back into it, they're going to.
I mean, listen, for all the stuff that the royal family's gone through that we know about, that was just another chapter to me. Right? It was another chapter. They've done divorce, they have cheating, they've had death, and now they got a family that's going out.
I don't wish this upon anybody.
No.
But I do think that if things would not work out between him and Meghan, you may see him get back in the family business. You might. Because I think she's been the one that's really pushed the Oprah stuff, really pushed. And listen, for all I know, they're making more money and doing better now outside the family than they would be inside the family. And I appreciate the fact that it's like your 18-year-old saying, I've had enough of this, I'm going out and moving on. You're like, okay, knock yourself out. And they've done extremely well for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly like in an apartment in Van Nuys, like struggling.
And Tommy Lee Jones has a birthday today.
80?
He is 76.
Okay.
You're watching Kurre and Klapow here on Facebook Live. Of course, we do it every single morning with Tony Kurre Live. He joins me every single Thursday. I love having my radio partner, my best friend, doing some radio. We talk about some things. We'll be on Fox 6 a little bit later on this morning at 9:35. We'll be talking about the Queen in different angles. We'll probably rehash a little bit of what we just got into, so it's very, very interesting.
I'm worried about what you're going to say.
Why?
I don't know. You're just going to say something controversial.
And this is interesting because what story came up last week where someone was talking about the two-lane road of, well, men can go topless, and no one says anything about that, but if a woman does it, blah blah blah.
My wife.
Well, yeah, but was there a story that came up about that got you into the discussion with your wife about it?
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly. Our conversation about you at the football game.
Oh yeah. Because I was at Bryant Denny, and I talked about this on Jay's show last week.
Yep.
Yes. I was at Bryant Denny with my 17-year-old son for the Utah State game. That's interesting because this kind of has something to do with the story I want to get into. And I'm 56. There ain't nothing I ain't done. The only thing I ain't done is slept with a dude. It ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
I pretty much, and you know that, I put myself in a position in a lot of different ways, and I've been blessed to experience a lot of things in life that a lot of people haven't. I've ridden bulls, I've done all kinds of things, I've been bitten by snakes, I've done everything. Settling down a little bit. You're not going to see me on a billboard anytime soon.
Maybe on your roof.
Maybe on my roof. I'll be on my roof tomorrow. Yeah, by the way, I'm going to be doing my show from the rooftop, about 45 feet up tomorrow.
Look, people are going, oh my God, it's like the billboard.
Yeah, so I'm going to be up on my roof until Alabama wins a football game. They'll be bombing her this weekend. And so I'm at the football game, and I cannot believe the way the women were dressed at that football game. I've been at Senior Frog. I've been at the studio at 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been at clubs where I've been at erotica shows. Okay? I would just like, first of all, it was eye candy and it was fun to see, and it was. I wish I just sat on a park bench and just watched all day, but then that would truly make me creepy. I saw 3 breasts outside the game, not because they're flashing, because their clothes were coming off. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, and everyone was drinking and having a good time, and I'm not poo-pooing on your good time. You do what you want, that's great. It's just a different time than it was when I was back in college at a good Catholic school like Xavier in 1984. There was always those women that like to push the envelope, and that's fine. You do what you want to do. But all I could think about was, man, if they get around the wrong group of guys, they're in trouble. That's all I could think about. And as a father of a 10-year-old daughter, that's where my thinking comes from. And it got to the point where it was uncomfortable. It was like watching a rated R movie with your 17-year-old son. That's what it was. It was like watching Casino or watching Fatal Attraction with your 14-year-old. And there's a scene you're like, and you're hoping you're watching on TBS because they're cutting out all the nudity, but they're not. And you're like, and even my son was kind of like, and the first thing we did is we got off one of these trams, we parked at the Capstone deck, and we got off, and there was a girl right in front of us. She had a black miniskirt on. Yeah, it's crazy. And I've been to the Grove. I've seen some crazy things. There were even parents that were with their daughters that were wearing, and their mothers weren't wearing that kind of stuff. And I'm kind of going, man, I wonder what Dad's thinking right now. Walking with this girl, I mean,
That's, yeah.
And I was just like,
yeah.
And so
I know.
The conversation came up with you and your wife about the differences between, men go topless and women go topless, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Two female fans are the center of a school police probe after a pair showed up at the University of Utah football game this past weekend topless.
At least it wasn't BYU.
With only body paint covering their breast.
Mm-hmm.
The unnamed women were among thousands of fans crammed into Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday. They covered up after a female officer asked them to put shirts on. Still, the spokesman said the University Police are investigating and charges against the duo have not been ruled out. The students also could be referred to the Dean of Students for discipline. Footage on KSL News shows the two women with paint on their bodies in the shape of a tank top with the apparent U in red across their chest and torso. The news station said some people are in disbelief that the young women not only were outside the stadium celebrating and tailgating like that, but they got into the stadium at all to witness the Utes win over Southern Utah. A misdemeanor could be applied in the case. YouTube influencer Malia Johnson, who brought her two children to the September 10th game, claimed security guards just stared at the topless women as they walked in. This is literally what our world is coming to. We can't even go to a family-friendly college game without our kids and family being exposed to nudity. Johnson told the Desert News in a statement she wants to bring her kids to sporting events without youngsters being exposed to lewdness or nudity. We love going to Utah football games, but this should never happen, and it should never be allowed to happen again. University President Taylor Randall and Athletics Director Mark Harlan stressed in the statement, profanity, public intoxication, rude, disrespectful behavior, racial and derogatory comments, or verbal attacks directed at individuals or groups will not be tolerated. Anyone who engages in unsafe or inappropriate conduct will be removed from the premises.
See, that's...
May lose all privileges and access to future university events. Can be reported to law enforcement.
That's where it gets
then, of course, the pro...
Yes, because
of
free
the nipple.
Yes.
There's one. Free the nipple. Our obscenity laws discriminate against women. Candidate James Hansen wrote on Twitter.
Wait, what?
James Hansen.
He's a candidate for what?
For Senate.
Oh, for Senate.
Another user argued the criticism of two female fans was unfair. How many men were topless at the same game? The double standard is not cool at all.
Yeah, listen. Okay, so here's the thing. It has been going on for so long that I even told you, I got into it a little bit with my wife because I had a hard time wrapping my head around it. And my wife was like, you see what you're doing? This is the objectification of women. You're doing it. You don't want your daughter to look like that, right? And it was really hard for me because I was like, well, of course.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, and you have to try to let your brain go here. And it's not natural for us to do this, but it is true. Think about this. Women have breasts. Men have breasts. Men can take their shirt off. In our country, because we've talked about in other countries, women can't. That's obscene.
Yeah.
Why? That's the part. You have to answer the question why, and it becomes, you can do well because why?
Well, plain and simple. Culturally, we've been brought up that way.
Well, and
for one thing, that's the standard.
But
you talk about cultural norms. That is the standard.
And that's exactly where my wife was going. Is that's a male-dominated standard.
Yeah,
and that's all. And that's, you can say that without saying, well, you can say that in a neutral way, but it is true. Who decided that women can't go to not that they have to, but who decided that women can't, and particularly when it's obscenity and they're going to get in trouble for it.
It is a cultural norm.
Yeah.
We talked about the Lynn Park topless.
That's
thing.
exactly.
Everyone down at Lynn Park starts going topless and it becomes the norm. If you've been to Barcelona or any European countries, they don't wear bras and it's just, there's porn all over the street signs.
Well, but even porn,
standard.
I would put porn, you have to be careful with porn, right?
Yeah.
Because
take that back. Porn's just not a topless woman. Porn is an engagement of something, so I won't say that, although they show that too.
Yeah, that's right.
Why do you think I went downstairs at the age of 9 to look through my dad's National Geographic magazines?
To read the great articles?
Naked pygmies.
Yes.
And that was the social norm for them. I don't know too many women that would want to be topless, not because they're objectified, just because it's probably uncomfortable.
Well, that'd be like us. It would be.
If you're going to run, or do whatever you want to do, I'll throw this out. If somehow you came in, maybe you had to move to an island where men had never seen women before.
Yes.
And you could be topless whenever you want, and you would not be objectified. Would you do it? Now, coming from this country, you probably wouldn't because it would make you feel uncomfortable. For the same reason people don't like to go to nudist colonies. I can't do that. You know, we went to Aruba, and you could be topless in Aruba. And I told my ex, if you want to be topless, knock yourself out. She had a great rack.
Yep.
I said, and everybody was. And I said, I'm going to tell you right now, when we're walking down this beach in Aruba, it's a lot different than, say, Mexico, where sometimes you can't tell if they're a man or a woman when they're topless. But I'm like, you know, I had my eyeglasses, my eyes were, I had a headache from pointing, you know, and I said, feel free to do that. And I asked if I could go bottomless. And of course the guy said, well, she can, you can't. Social norms. Guys can't go bottomless, but women can in Aruba. Okay, so there's your social norm. So that is a two-way street. So
who decided that guys can't? Usually men.
probably, and well, maybe women too. Because
it's not
the best looking part of our bodies. Don't kid yourself. Women don't want to see pics of your wiener. But it's a social norm, and that's why, you know, when you see these shows where they can't show nudity, but all of a sudden they're showing. I was watching something on the History Channel about this pygmy nation down in somewhere out in the Indian Ocean, this island where they have no technical aspects of life at all. They shoot down helicopters, and everyone's been naked forever. And it's not like guys are looking at other girls going,
no.
But they procreate, they make love, they're intimate with each other.
Well, that's the difference, right?
So if you want to change, and you're one of these people says, well, guys can go topless, we should be able to go topless.
Yeah.
That's fine. Maybe in 50 years, that will be the norm. Maybe in 100 years, it'll be the norm. It ain't going to be the norm anytime soon because it's still considered indecent. We have to have a code. We have to have our own cultural norms. We have to have rules or regulations and what we believe from a cultural norm is acceptable behavior. Right now, a woman walking topless down my street is not acceptable behavior.
But you got to be careful.
And I'm not saying, I'm not moralistically saying it's right or wrong.
No. But when you say we, that's the problem. We historically has been driven by men.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And here's the other piece. Let me bring in the psychological piece. Because you'll have a lot of women who say, well, I feel that way too. I think it's inappropriate. Mm-hmm. And again, this is the psychological piece, which you may have a hard time sort of sitting with. It's because historically men have said, and when I say historically, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, right? Women have been brought up to believe that it is not appropriate. You and I have had this conversation. Go to any beach. Go to a beach here in the U.S. At what age do you tell your daughter it's not okay to run around naked?
Yeah.
Or without a top on? You got both kids are toddlers running around naked. La 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 la. At some point, you tell your son you got to put your pants on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you usually tell your daughter, you got to put your bikini on or your bottom.
Yeah.
Now you got two kids running around both without the tops. At some point, you tell your daughter you need to put your top on.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
That right there is where the social norms differ. And all I'm saying is that has been driven and driven and driven by men. Now you can say as a man, as it should be.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But there's a lot of women that are like, well, I call bullshit on that.
Yeah. It's really interesting because when you do go to different cultures, and I talk about Europe a lot, I've been there and I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal, but it's not that big of a deal like it is here.
Yes.
If a woman's walking down, and they're not topless either, but they don't wear bras. They're very loose clothing. It looks like a football game. Brian Denny is what it looks like. And so men are so adaptive to it and have seen it. It's not that big of a deal. It's kind of like doing drugs in Amsterdam. It's bars upstairs to dance and drink, downstairs to smoke and get high. And it's just it's like whatever because it's been going on for so long. And so for us to adapt to that and change that culture, movements like Free the Nipple and things like that are going to have to continue to the point where, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think
it may not.
I don't think we have more nudist colonies now in this country than we've ever had. We have nude beaches.
I also think it brings up
and I'll say this, because of the way we were brought up.
Yes.
We are titillated, we are scintillated, we are excited when we see breast. I always say the two things that I never get tired of looking at are deer and breast. If I can see a deer or titillate, yeah, I know. But if I can see a pair of boobs, I don't care if they're on my grandma. I mean, I'm going to look twice. Boobs are fun to look at, so are deer, right? And until we change the way we look at breasts, and I realize God created them to feed our children, and that's part of life.
That's all that they
for
are.
God's sakes, it's a boob.
They're mammary. They're glands.
Exactly. But they,
I know.
But they don't look like our glands.
No.
Women aren't going, oh my gosh, look at this guy outside, he's got his shirt off, unless of course he's got a six-pack.
Yeah, there
Guys
you
will go, oh my gosh, there's a topless woman out by the pool, let's go, and 15 guys will run out the window with their cameras.
I think in this case, I understand they violated social norms, but I do.
In Utah too.
Yeah, well, that's okay. But I do think I'm glad they're bringing attention to it, because when they start going down the list, profanity, obscenities, intoxication, they're going down the list of things that are not okay, and then they're including being topless in there. Now, if they were topless, drunk, and disruptive, I'd be like, okay, good, bust them for being drunk and disruptive.
Yeah.
That's where I think this senator or this candidate is saying that's a double standard.
Does it hate the cultural norm that we're trying to strive towards? If you believe that women should be able to go topless where they want, the fact that so many women don't believe it's right, because it's their cause, right? It's women are the ones that would get the change. And if you did a poll, what percentage of women in this country like it the way it is?
Well, no, but here, okay, you have to be careful there, because in terms of toplessness, that's one thing, but that's part of a much larger social norm, how women should dress in the workplace.
Yeah,
we've done tons of shows how women should dress, what they should be like, their weight, their appearance, and that's where you have to be careful, because a lot of women who will say, of course, absolutely, they shouldn't be able to go topless. Fine, but all the rest of the stuff is embodied in that.
yeah.
Because that's what we've done historically. I mean, you and I have had this conversation. I learned from a couple women I know that women are taught at a very young age, girls, to hold your stomach in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold your stomach in.
I never heard.
I had never heard it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold your stomach in. Or have you ever told your son? Have I ever? I didn't know. You didn't know. And that's where I think we have to be careful not to be just so knee-jerk about it. I mean, that's... You leaving?
No, I'm stoking my fire a little bit, because it's getting kind of foggy. It's getting a little foggy here.
No, I think that's important, and I think that the more that we get whenever you're knee-jerk, whenever you're like, well, look, that's telling me that you're super defensive. It's not telling me that you're considering what another person is saying.
Yep.
To me, it's that simple. And as I said, I got into it with my wife about it because I'm a dad of a daughter.
Yes.
But I get it. I get it. Women should be able to wear whatever they want to wear. And it should not be driven by men. And if you're going to a football game, I'm painting this picture. If you're going to a football game and you don't want to have a top on because you know what? It's flipping 90 whatever degrees in the summer.
Yeah.
Why not? You see, and that's the thing that's so interesting to me. We say, go purely on comfort.
Yeah.
Purely on comfort. It's hot. What do? Take our shirt off.
Yeah, but you know what? I was at the football game. I didn't see one topless dude there the entire time I was there.
Well,
I mean, I've seen guys at Green Bay Packer games.
That's
40
different.
degrees,
Yeah.
and they got their paint. That's.
But if it's hot, we take our shirt off. Right?
I don't.
Well, okay, but you can.
Well, sure.
Woman can.
I think there's and again, I think there's places where women probably can. Certainly.
But men can in almost any place. Yes.
Not really. It's not the cultural norm to take our top off at work.
No.
We can do it at the beach to be comfortable when it's hot.
Well,
sure.
yes.
When we're cutting grass, I guess, sure. But for the most part, I don't know too many guys that like to take their shirts off.
No, but come on.
No, I'm just saying.
No one's gonna lose their mind if a guy takes his shirt off. Not in the workplace.
Yeah.
But that's a social norm.
Yeah.
Don't take your shirt off. But if it's hot, we take our shirt off.
I did a lot of homework back in my back bedroom when I was 12 years old because Sherry Crosby,
Across the street.
now right next door to us,
Took her
just
shirt
where we
off.
had big backyards, and she would lay out in her bikini.
Oh.
We had a really big backyard, so I'd be back there with my dad's binoculars. My dad was like, "Man,
She
you're doing a lot of
take her
studying."
top off or a bikini?
No, she had a bikini, and she took her bikini top off, and then when she'd get up, because no one was looking, and man,
Do you know this is exactly why, and I'm sure
Awesome.
you're going to make some sort of pivot here, but this is exactly why the show Naked and Afraid.
Yeah. Should we call our shows Naked and Afraid?
No,
XL?
I told you this. I've been fascinated by that show from the day it came out. Fascinated by that show.
I wonder too, because if you ask hunters, even hunters like to see deer once in a while because they usually want to shoot. They want to shoot them. But like if you see a hunter who sees like 50, 60 deer a weekend, it's not that special to see deer. For us, I mean,
Right.
I see
Right,
the same
right.
number of deer, but I still think it's special.
Yep.
I wonder if we lived in a society where women were topless whenever they wanted to, maybe when they're cooking dinner.
Yeah.
Maybe when
Any of the same
maybe-
time
yeah.
that we would be.
maybe not going to a play or something.
No.
Where you want to wear something nice, but you're at the beach.
Yes.
You go topless. I wonder how long it would take for us guys to adapt to that type of behavior before we finally go like a deer. It's like,
Yes.
I've seen a deer before, so they're still fun to look at, but I don't get excited.
But
about
that's
seeing it.
exactly-
Because right now the problem is the lizard brain comes out in guys, and the minute we see a pair of boobs, we just get dumb as a box of shit. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's a pair of boobs, I can't stop looking. And you're looking across the room, and you're rewinding the tape to see the, and it's like, and we're just dumb that way because we've been taught to say that we don't, to see a pair of breasts is a special treat. And particularly when she's not wanting to show them to you, like at Bryant Denny. And these girls didn't even, it was no big deal.
Right.
I mean, it was kind of like I'm like,
Right.
and
Right.
all I could think about, quite frankly, is the creepy dudes.
Yes. Yes. Right.
It's like throwing a guy who hasn't been laid in 20 years into Sammy's. Good luck, because guys are dumb. When we get around boobs and nakedness, we do really stupid stuff. I mean, really stupid stuff. I mean, all of a sudden, it's like someone opened up your brain, took it out, set it aside, and said, let me know when you want to put it back in your
That's
head.
right.
We don't.
No.
That's why we cheat so much. That was only one time. But boy, if it was twice, I'd get it.
This is why, I mean, again,
come on.
so think about
Guys
it.
are
This is
stupid,
why
I knew it.
mandated things, again, that change, but mandated high heels in the workplace, or skirts, or blouses, like all this stuff is for us.
I saw this great story. I sent it to you. I think it's really interesting because a lot of guys were freaking out by COVID because women were changing. They weren't shaving their
Oh, right,
armpits.
yeah,
They weren't
and now
shaving
they're
their
wearing
legs.
wire bras.
They weren't wearing
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bras.
Yeah, yeah.
They were dressing schlumpy
Yep,
because
yep.
they were from home. And now all of a sudden, underwire bras are the biggest selling bra in the country right now. Why? Because women have to go back to work. And they don't feel comfortable looking the way they do in bras without wires because it doesn't make them look good. They're comfortable.
But you see what I mean? So that's
It's a social norm.
You can get totally sociological, anthropological on this one. That's exactly it. Women have been taught that doesn't look good, and yeah, like to
Well,
me,
and it doesn't look good, but it also doesn't make them feel good. A woman feels good in high heels. They'll tell you, I like the way I look in high heels.
look,
Her
but not
feet.
But
And when you look good, then you feel good.
But
about
imagine,
yourself.
imagine.
You're willing to go through that pain.
Imagine a world in which, for a woman, you didn't have to look good in the eyes of others,
Yeah.
to feel good about yourself. And this is the whole idea of body positive movement.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have body positive movement 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We do now, because imagine a world in which you didn't need to wear a bra to look good. Now, you may just the same as us wearing boxers or jockstraps, or for anatomical purposes and to provide support. That's one thing. But imagine if you didn't have to wear makeup, you didn't have to dye your hair,
Yeah.
you didn't have to shove your feet into high heels. Right? Think about the stuff that we've created in society, and your point is really well taken. You're like, and I've heard you say, women do it for women. But the only reason women do it for women is because we that have power have said this is how it should be. And when you do that over and over and over for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, it becomes the norm. And you've got some women, free the nipple, going, all they're saying is, why?
Yeah.
Why?
No, that's a good question.
By the way, I can just say, I find this really interesting. This is very enjoyable.
Yeah.
We both have voices that carry.
Uh-huh.
And I keep wondering about what your neighbors
I know we have 55 people outside the front yard. There's chairs set up in the front yard. People are listening to the
Curry's
Kurre and
talking
Klapow
about
show. It's
boobs again.
great. I know.
You don't come out. By the way, you left your banana on the post over there.
I know, it's my breakfast. I'll get after it. Hey, if you like what you're hearing, continue to do so every single Monday through Friday morning. You can find me on Facebook Live and also on TKR, the Tony Curry Radio app. We're in the process of updating all of our software. Man, it's going to be killer.
That is awesome.
So
Wonderful.
we're going to be back on TKR, of course, it's home for classic rock and roll. We have 13 different shows that run every time from 10 o'clock in the morning all the way to 8 o'clock at night. Everything from Blues Almighty Show, the Damon Johnson Show with Brother Kane and Leonard Skinner. Adaptive Parish runs every Monday through Friday at 12 noon. We have Mission Mind with Michael Coleman from the Montgomery Food Bank, formerly the Jimmy Hill Mission, runs at 10 o'clock. We have Need to Know with Kip Kiefer, the Birmingham Racecourse Casino. We also have a show called Wanna Bet. Need to Know is our most listened to podcast right now. It's crazy. Go to Tony Curry Radio Podcast. That's Curry with a K. Tony Curry Radio Podcast. We're on Audio Boom. We're on iHeart. We're on every major industry wherever you get your podcast. Check out the Tony Curry Radio Podcast. Fantastic. Live Wire Wednesday brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828. Some great shows. Check those out. And we'll be on Fox 6 at 9:35 this morning talking more Queen stuff. I want to thank our good folks at Coosa Valley Auto Sale. Coosa Valley Auto does a wonderful job. They do a customer co-op. I keep in touch with Al Cooper. He was sending me like 12 pictures last night of this new Yukon they got on the lot. It's a beautiful car. It's probably gone by now. Go to CoosaValleyAutoSale.com, CoosaValleyAutoSale.com, and you can see all pictures of all their vehicles. If there's not a picture, chances are it's already gone. They call them Easter eggs. He shows up and there's like 5 or 6 cars in the lot in the morning from auctions that his partner brings in.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, assess the stuff, get it on the market, go. And usually by like 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they're already gone. They do great work. If you're looking for a used car, this is the place to go. CoosaValleyAutoSale.com, CoosaValleyAutoSale.com. Check them out. They're great. Thanks for watching this morning. We hope you appreciate the fact that it's kind of nice in us out there.
It is very nice.
Dog was good, too. Look at him over there laying down.
Yeah, he kind of gave up. He gave up. He's a good dog.
He's a good dog.
This is so, like, I don't know what to think. This is great. This is why I moved to the South.
There you go. All right.
By the way, this is not dandruff.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, make sure you go to workplayandworkplay.com.
Yes.
McKee's playing on Sunday night. It's an all-ages show, so you will not see any bare-breasted women there. Hopefully not. At Workplay, go to workplay.com, workplay.com. I had a brief conversation with Tommy yesterday. We were kind of going back and forth. I was asking if he wanted to smoke a cigar. But check out great bands and, of course, a great website, workplay.com, and check out their show coming up on Sunday night. Should be. Chickamonks.
Oh, so there's...
They're coming to see you. They know that you are, oh, and you got some big-ass spider right underneath your chair. Look at this thing, man. Hold on, right there. Oh, that's all pretty. It's pretty awesome.
It's good live. This is on live TV.
Yeah.
Don't touch it.
Oh, you know what it is?
What?
It's a cicada.
Oh, that's not a spider.
Yeah.
It's dead.
No, it's alive.
Oh, it's alive. It's about to be dead. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at his little hand.
There.
You gonna throw it in the fire?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Oh, you know what? We could. What do you think it's going to do? You think it's going to fly away?
No, but I know on Naked and Afraid they'd be eating.
Not happy.
That's terrible.
That was horrible. It wasn't an animal. It was a cicada.
No, I know, but did you hear that?
Yeah,
I wonder if the mics picked
this
that
is
up.
coming from a guy who saved a mouse in the studio the other day with tongs. I took it outside, put the little guy alone.
But you wouldn't have done that with a mouse.
Oh, and yesterday my cat ate a lizard about this big.
Did it vomit it back up?
No, but man, I'll show you the video. It was out there just crunching it. And I'm like, dude, I just fed you. My dog's smelling your chicken shoes. All right, have yourself a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. We'll be on Fox 6 at 9:35 this morning. We will not be talking about our second story. We'll be talking about our first. In the 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, or 5.5 minutes they give us. We love you. Thanks for watching. That was horrible, dude.